Hello and welcome to the on-record portion of the Rockbridge Report. I'm Chelsea Stevenson, and joining me here today is Lexington Mayor Mimi Elrod. Hello, Mayor Elrod. How are you today?
I am fine, and it's very nice to be here. Thank you for asking me to join you today.
Of course. Thank you very much for coming. So it is my understanding that you've been mayor since 2009. Is that correct?
That's right. Elected in 2008, took office in 2009.
And what are some of the things you've enjoyed most about the position?
Well, I really enjoy almost all of it. We've had our contentious moments, as you've witnessed over the years, but I enjoy working with council members. I enjoy the people that I have been put in touch with because of being mayor and the groups that I have become part of and efforts I've been working with, like the Let's Move Lexington and the Master Bike Plan and health issues and that sort of thing. So I've met a lot of people, and I really do enjoy that. I enjoy working with the students at Washington and Lee. So there are a lot of aspects that are enjoyable.
And over the past few years as mayor, have there been any specific challenges that stand out to you that you in your position had to sort of overcome?
You mean personal challenges?
Or challenges that you, I guess, over the past 3 years, what are some of the hardest parts of your position as mayor?
I think probably one of the hardest parts has been to deal with the flag ordinance. You might recall that last January, the Sons of the Confederate Veterans wanted us to have their flags up over the weekend, not on Martin Luther King's the day that Martin Luther King's birthday is celebrated, but previous to that. And we always fly the American flag on that day. And that precipitated a discussion about the flags. And we developed a flag ordinance. And just dealing with that has been difficult. I think you were at the meeting on September 1st. When we dealt with that ordinance, we had a public hearing, and then we had a discussion about it. And we probably had about 500 people in the immediate environment, not in the room, but in the hallway and outside. And that was probably one of the toughest times to get through, just making sure that we listened to people properly and that they understood what the ordinance was about, but we got through it. I think that's one issue that's been hard. Another issue that's been hard in a different way is we had planned to change our water meters to make them more efficient and effective. And when we did that, we also installed what are called check valves. And the check valves basically keep the water from a resident separate from the water system. But the downside is that they also build up the pressure the water pressure within your house in the hot water tanks. And because we put those check valves in, some people had problems with leakage, with breaking pipes. And it's really hard to see people in your own community negatively impacted by something that you've done to make things better. And unfortunately, a lot of the people who suffered damage, not only in their plumbing, but to their homes, are lower income people. So that's been a very hard thing to deal with, because I'm sure we disappointed a lot of people in not letting them know way ahead of time of that potential problem.
And what would you say during the water meter installation process was your role specifically? What were some of the things that you did to either make citizens more aware of the issue or to deal with citizens who presented their issues to the city?
Well, in last May, City Council got a memo from our city manager explaining that there was a downside to the installation of these check valves. And he also said at that time that he and David Woody, who was our public works person, would be letting residents know that this was a potential problem and then they could handle the matter by getting an expansion tank. That really didn't happen. And I suppose that part of our role might have been to ask Mr. Ellisted in June, say, have you let people know? And then in July, have you let people know? But he's usually so reliable that we didn't ask him that question, and then all of a sudden we were having these problems. But what council's role is right now is to try to decide how we can rectify the situation. Primarily, what are we going to do financially to help people deal with the problems that they have had. They are sending their bills to the city so that our insurance, the city has an insurance company, can help pay for that. So our role now is more or less trying to deal with the public, try to find out the best solution. Part of our job always is to listen to people. And I talk on the phone to people, I get emails from people about their problems, and just try to listen to them and understand why they're having a problem, how they see the problem, maybe some suggestions as to what might be done.
And the meters are back to being installed, correct, but without the check valve?
The water meters are being installed without the check valves, that's right. And when we met in, I guess it was in October, we decided to quit putting on the check valves and just put the water meters in, and then we'll go back and put the check valves on. We decided to give ourselves 6 to 8 months to sort of see what's going on, and to give people time to get the expansion tanks that they will need in order to prevent the pipes from breaking.
And going back to the flag and banner ordinance that you mentioned earlier, the council has decided not to reconsider the ordinance, is that correct?
Yes. When we met about 2 weeks ago, before we had scheduled a work session on the banners and flags ordinance, and before we met, I had talked to the 4 city council members who had voted in support of the ordinance, and all of them agreed that they did not want to reconsider the ordinance. It's really a very hard situation because people don't really, for some reason, understand the ordinance. Citizens don't understand that there's not a compromise available. And I think that makes our job even harder. But at any rate, those 4 people said that they did not want to reconsider. Mr. Cox, who wasn't there to vote, had said that he supported the ordinance completely. So really the only person who might have wanted to reconsider would have been Ms. Harvey, who voted against the ordinance.
And what does this mean for citizens who express concerns and disagreements with the ordinance? Have they approached the council after the work session?
Well, I have the feeling, I have not received, I did receive an email from Mr. Dorsey today. He was not writing to me, Brandon Dorsey, who's been sort of the leader of the Sons of the Confederate Veterans. But they are still going to keep making their desires known in one way or another. They contend that there is a way to compromise, and I don't like to really speculate about a lawsuit, but I think finally this is just going to have to be settled in court, because from what our attorney says, there's no way to compromise, and they're not just saying, okay, that's your ordinance, we're going to let it go. Even though they can fly their flags, they can carry their flags, fly them in front of their homes. I've said this so many times, the only place that they're not going to be able to fly their flags is on the city flag poles.
And when do you anticipate that this issue will be taken to or resolved in court?
That's an interesting question, but I really can't answer it, because if the Sons of the Confederate Veterans, it will be incumbent upon them to do something. They might sue us, they might not. And as I said, I don't really want to speculate about that too much, but we will go on with our ordinance. We're putting it in place. We've more or less informally agreed that we will not make any changes for a year, because we need to see how it plays out. You were there when we had the big discussion about the banners and the wording of some of our requirements, and I think we're just going to let it sort of sift down and see how it works out, and then if we need to make changes, we can make them.
And I know that one of the other issues going on in the city is the relocation of residents from the Robert E. Lee building. Has progress been made on the relocation?
Progress is being made, and Vicki Agner, who is working on this, who's the rental assistance program director, has done a wonderful job. About 30 of our residents have been moved out of about 40 to 45, and she's sitting down with every one of them and talking about the possible places that they might move and taking them there to look at them. So she's really doing a very good job with an unfortunate situation.
And do you think that the hotel that will be built in the Robert E. Lee building will be beneficial to the city, or how will that impact the city and the community?
We are hoping that it will be very beneficial because we've given some tax breaks, and we've done some other things to lend financial support, and we're hoping that by getting people right downtown on Main Street in a hotel with a restaurant there, that it will bring more shoppers to the area. It will contribute to the vibrancy of the downtown, the liveliness, and so yes, we are counting on it being a significant change maker in the downtown of Lexington.
And what role have you played in the relocation? Have you been involved at all with any of the specific tenants or with Ms. Agner?
Not really. It's like with other issues. We have a strong city manager, and he has a staff, and city council sets policy, but we don't ordinarily get involved with tasks like that. We have a lot of debates about the R.E. Lee building and how much money we would give them to help them make that possible. And we had a lot of discussion about the residents, but it would not be a part of what city council members would do to work with the residents. That's a staff issue, or it's a staff obligation.
Have any of the citizens approached you about the relocation process? Either tenants of the building or other
No, I haven't. I haven't
local
heard
residents?
from anybody. It was a real concern to city council because we knew that a lot of the people in there, they're either having a hard time financially or otherwise, and they would need help in being relocated. And you hate to displace anyone for any reason. So it's been hard, emotionally hard, but I think Vicki Agner has done a really good job with it.
Well, thank you very much. That's all the time we have today. Thank you very much for joining us for the on-record portion of the Rockridge Report.